www.unityandrebuildingfund.com. That's www.unityandrebuildingfund.com. We often hear how we need to work together to rebuild the city, and we're actually doing it. You can make online donations and click on the link to start the process of the Unity and Rebuilding. And for more information, 313-868-0000 is a local number. Again, 313-868-0000. Support the Unity and Rebuilding. You're watching WHPS, Highland Park, Detroit. FM 88.1 WHPR, the Highland Park. WVIE 107.3 FM Charlotte, Amalia, Virgin Islands. The views and opinions expressed on the following show are not necessarily the views and opinions of WHPS, its affiliates, management, or sponsors. Brothers and sisters, are you tired of reading the Holy Scriptures and not really understanding what's read? And if are you reasonably sure that you ever tested that what you feel, no, someone may have.
What did you set that there on?
Now let's talk about it. Let's reason with one another.
Go back and set it on 77.
Live broadcast every Sunday at 12:33. FM 88.
This conference is being recorded. A recording has started.
Call and let's discuss the Holy Bible. Have one, the Holy Quran, and come to an agreement about the Holy Scriptures and their true meaning. So tune in to a scriptural discussion with the Son of Man every Sunday at 12:30 right here on TV. 868-0342 and 868-0351. Of course, the area code is 313. That's 313-868-0326, 868-0342, and 868-0351. And now let's go live to scriptural discussion with Son of Man.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, the Truthful, and the Most Just. I greet you all who have the hunger and thirst for the understanding of the Word of God. I greet all of you with the greeting words of peace. May Allah's Assalamu alaikum. Before I go into any particular subject matter this evening, I want to give those who may have a disagreement with us or just something you wanted to ask me about before I get started. I will give you the opportunity now to press *6 on your phone, and I will be at your disposal. Okay. And, you know, even that, what just happened, are you aware that's what the scripture says would happen in hell? There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. You know, insanity is a terrible thing. And no matter how much you think you dislike or even hate a person, if you've ever visited a place where people are insane, you'd be surprised how quickly you realize that it really wasn't that person you hated, but how they was acting. Because you actually feel sorry for those people. You know, when I was out west, I wound up having to visit a relative that had taken some LSD, and never was the same after that. And I discovered that you know, he wasn't the only one whose mind was messed up. Everybody that was in there, their mind was all messed up. And to see that makes you realize that you should treasure the fact that you have a sane mind. Because once you lose touch with reality, then you are out of reach. That truly is being lost. So even those of you who are my enemies, I notice you being here on time in class, just so you can act a fool. But know this, you become what you practice. So every day that you keep acting the same way, you're becoming more and more set in that. Your mind is becoming more and more set in that way. And soon it won't be an act, it'll really be you. And that's your reward for annoying the Lord himself. And make no mistake, that annoys me. So go ahead, fill up the cup. You're going to be surprised that what you practice is what you become. So I don't know why it should surprise you. It surprise you other than the fact that you just wasn't paying attention. Don't you see people becoming what they practice every day? Well, but anyway, I think I'm going to start tonight's class. With the definition. You know, most of us live in the country, and we see and hear titles. We hear letters that represent or acronyms that represent different bureaucracies, different parts of government, and we don't really think about what it means and what it really is. And understand how you destroy a tree. You can either go and physically take an axe or a chainsaw or whatever, you can chop it off and leave a stump, but you'll soon see something growing up out of that stump. But if you take and go and take a shovel and start exposing the roots, when you take the earth that surrounds it and removes the earth from around it that is its support, the tree will die because you have exposed a part of it that was not meant to be exposed. Do you understand? Your heart was not made to be exposed to the outside. But doctor, go digging around in your chest and expose your heart to the outside and leave it like that, you soon are going to be dead. Do you understand? Remember that now. That's very important that you remember that there are certain parts to living things, whether it's plants or animals or man, that were made to remain out of view while they work. You understand? Okay. Now, FBI. I'm going to read the definition here. FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation. Notice, didn't say nothing about being a police. The FBI is not the police in the sense that we understand the word police. The FBI is an investigatory body, like your mind. You know you have a mind, but as the scripture says, the fool uttereth, he tells everything that's on his mind. Huh? What does the mind do? What is your mind? Your mind is the FBI of your body. The eyes relay signals back to the brain, and the mind interprets those signals to look into things, investigate to see if it's something that will endanger you or something that will help you or whatnot. And the mind instructs the body whether to allow this or not to allow it. Do you understand? How many times have you said, I should have followed my first mind? So when you don't pay attention to your investigator and decide, because your desire, you may have the desire to do something, and so you ignore what your mind told you. Huh? You regretted that, didn't you? All right. Now, so the Federal Bureau of Investigation is what those three letters represent, FBI. Now, in government, politics, and diplomacy, Federal Bureau of Investigation, an agency of the Justice Department, an agency of the Justice Department responsible for investigating violations of federal laws, of laws that that governs the whole country. The federal government, federal laws, they are things that the Constitution forbids, the U.S. Constitution. Do you understand? And when you know, that's the that's what the Justice Department, the FBI, investigates, looks into if someone is breaking federal laws, is violating constitutional laws. Do you understand? The U.S. Constitution. Now let's go a little further. Now, any of you that's in the audience, if you hear me give some misinformation, I welcome you to correct me. You know, so you don't have to sit up out there and say, that nigga don't know what he talking about. Well, come in here and tell this nigga what it is and be prepared to answer my questions. Because that's the one thing that I'm always concerned about is, you know, I represent the new nation of Islam. Then I must always be conscious and cognizant of the fact that I represent something bigger than myself. And I never want to be, you know what it means when people say you stuck your foot in your mouth. That's just another way of saying, well, when you were speaking or saying something that you really didn't know what you was talking about, and so it was equivalent to what you see a baby do. Well, you notice babies can stick their foot in their mouth. They can suck on their big toe and that kind of stuff. Babies do that, stick their foot in their mouth. Because they don't, you know, they don't know much. They don't know your foot don't belong in your mouth. And a lot of times people say things that it just makes them look very foolish. And so, you know, we have a saying of, you know, well, when you get your foot out of your mouth, maybe we can talk. Huh? Well, the common citizen, he can get away with that. But the head of state, you don't want to get in the habit of doing that, because it makes not only you look foolish, but it makes the people that's following you look foolish. Because if this is the best you can put forth to represent you, what does that say about you? So that's why you always look for the best qualified person to stand and represent your values and represent you as a nation or you as a people. The most knowledgeable one, the one who is not going to make you feel ashamed. Do you understand? And any man who thinks if I get out in the public and I don't care how I look in the public, then you will be a fool to let me be the head of your nation. You'd be a fool to follow me and claim that I represent you. A head of state should be a very self-conscious person. If for no longer than the time they are head of state, they should be very careful what they say. They should be very careful how they say it. They should be very careful what they allow themselves to be perceived as in the public eye because they represent something bigger than themselves. You understand? So let's read a little bit more on the FBI. Now listen to this one real carefully. Federal Bureau of Investigation, a bureau in the U.S. Department of Justice charged. You know what that means? It means they are given the responsibility. They are held responsible. They are charged with conducting investigations for the Attorney General and with safeguarding national security. It's their duty to protect the nation. Like I said, when they take that oath, you see, I almost wish you would have let that coward say what he had to say. Because, you know, these people, you know, here, this man hates, it's probably some poor, and the white people call him poor white trash. A poor, sorry individual that would sell his country out if somebody would offer him a big bank account, what he would call it. But he probably think $1 million is a lot of money. He'd sell his country out. I'm going to tell you something else. If the FBI go and check them bank accounts of all these people in Congress, he'll discover that they came in Congress poor, and now most of them are millionaires. Got money sitting up in the bank. All you have to do is, you want to know how many traders you have in there? Just look how many millionaires you got sitting up in there. And go down that Grover Norquist list. Now, when that fool come back, let him talk. I want people to hear him. Yeah. You see, as long as you think that skin is what determines your greatness or your inferiority, as long as a mind like that is in you, you headed for the fire. You just waiting to be destroyed because you're stupid. And you had an excuse to be stupid until I showed up. You know why? Let me show you. How many people before me, how many people was willing to get on the air with their religious doctrine and treat every individual equal to themselves by saying, if you have any argument against me or can show that I'm teaching something wrong, come in and I'll discuss it with you. How many people? You've never seen a president do that? You've never seen a congressman do that? You've never seen a preacher do that? You've never seen any other person do that but me. Now, since I am willing to let you show me what I'm wrong about, what does it say about you when you come in here and all you can do is curse and swear? A fool don't know he's a fool. And that's what makes him a fool. Do you understand what I'm saying there? Yeah. But the listeners, there's an old saying, if a wise man argue with a fool, the listeners can't tell which is which. Well, that's because that neither one of them is wise. But if a wise man and a fool is arguing, you soon will know which is which. All you have to do is just let a fool talk. That's the way you argue with him, because a fool is a fool because he does not recognize wisdom. He does not recognize truth. He thinks he can argue with truth, and he thinks that an argument with truth is disbelieving it. He's just that foolish. He doesn't know that facts are what arguments are. Facts are reality. Facts are a fact is the truth. 2 plus 2 is 4. That's a fact. Ain't no might be to it. Ain't no 2 plus 2 might be 4. There ain't no might be. It is, unless you are a fool. Is that right? So I know how to manifest a fool. A fool is anybody who disagrees with the truth. Why you think Allah told you that? And before I got here, the scripture says, "But the Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before him, unless you are a fool." Now, I put that last part on there, because you're not going to make no lie out of nothing I say. And since I'm the only one that Allah has revealed himself to, then I'm the only one who has judgment that's sure. And once I make a judgment about something, that's the end of that. It don't make no difference what you say after I done made a judgment. Allah gave me authority to judge you. And my judgment is sure and provable. I don't say things about people that I can't prove. So now, you got the FBI. It says, I'm going to read it again. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, a bureau in the U.S. Department of Justice, charged with conducting investigations for the Attorney General and with safeguarding national security. That's another reason why the FBI don't come out and get in arguments, public arguments with people. With any citizen, when the FBI come visit you, they don't come like a bull in a china shop. They come and they keep it dignified. If they investigating you, what they got to keep it dignified. What if they, at the end of their investigation, they find out that it wasn't what they thought it was? Then no harm, no foul. We were just looking. Have a good day, Mr. Muhammad. Have a good day, Mr. Johnson. Have a good day, Mr. Jones. But we had to check this out. All right. Now, if it's their job to look out for national security, remember that now. What they're doing with this investigation. It has come to their attention that Russia is meddling in America's elections. And if they let that continue, who will be picking the Congress and the government, the people who run the government of America? Who will be picking it? The enemies of America will be picking the people who govern America. Is that in the best interest of America? All right. Now, so the next thing we want to look up, we hear these terms. So, you know, we need to know what we're listening to. So let's look up witch hunt. Witch hunt. Let's see here. An investigation carried out ostensibly, meaning publicly, or with the appearance to uncover subversive activities. But actually is used to harass and undermine those who have, or those with differing views. Huh? You remember I told you that Donald Trump, every time he get out on the news, and for a long time he was saying fake news, right? Well, what the people was thinking he was saying was that the news that you was hearing was fake, but what he was really saying was, okay, put some more fake news out there to counter this. Do you understand? So he called for fake news, and then they get on the trick news. Remember now, Fox News. Remember the word Fox means trick. Fox News, that's what they put out all day. Fake news, trick news. Okay, now look, I'm not speaking in a vacuum. I'm not like you rednecks and you. And when I say rednecks, I'm talking about dumb white folks and dumb black people. Because all of you, it's just like the only reason you got called redneck is because it's like your blood don't get all the way up to your brain. It just stops right there at your neck. And you know the brain needs oxygen to function properly. So if the blood ain't getting all the way up there to it, what's happening? You're going to be talking all kind of crazy mess, ain't you? Yeah, so a redneck. So anyway, now in our case, it would be black neck. We, the more blood get in a certain part in us, the darker our skin get. Do you understand? In the case of light-skinned people, they get redder. They getting darker. But anyway, I'm trying to show you that you don't understand. I'm the last one you should have wanted to get involved with, calling yourself arguing and insulting. Because by the time I get through picking apart the things that I say and show you why I say them, you don't look like a fool. People know you are a fool. Why? Because the forum was open to you to come in and dispute me with facts. And the best you could come up with was to curse and swear and call yourself insulting somebody. Just mad because I'm telling the truth on all of you. You think you're mad now. You know who you're going to really hate for it's over with? The one you see when you look in the mirror. Because you're going to know that the damnation that have come upon you was because of your crazy acting toward me. Oh yeah, everybody going to know I'm the Lord for it's over with. Care about how mad you get. And scratch your behind and get glad. You ain't going to do nothing to me. So, an investigation carried out ostensibly to uncover subversive activities. That's what the pretext is. But the real reason, it says, but actually is used to harass and undermine those with differing views. Anybody who disagree with you, what did he say? Investigate Clinton, right? That's the witch hunt. Now he says witch hunt. Witch hunt. You notice that's where he comes from? That's his code word now for set up a phony investigation on something else. Right? So that's how he communicates his to his cohorts. You know, just call out the word, and then they know what to do next. Okay, now they getting ready to reopen the investigation on Miss Clinton, right? Didn't the FBI already tell them that ain't nothing there? Of course. Now they say they're investigating the FBI. Wait a minute, let's see. Just a moment. Now, you have to understand something else. I think it's one more word we need to look up. So now we know what witch hunt mean, right? Okay. That's an investigation saying that is trying to find some wrongdoing, but what it's really trying to do is harass people who is disagreeing with the one that's in charge. You understand? Okay. Listen. Now, sedition. Let's look that up. Sedition. Conduct or language inciting rebellion against the authority of the state. I think the Justice Department is the authority of the whole United States. Isn't it? Then what are people that's in the government, what business they got trying to get the American people to distrust the Justice Department? That is sedition. And we've seen it happening right in front of us. They even went so far to say that the FBI can't arrest a congressman, can't arrest what do you mean can't arrest them? They trying to give America spiritual AIDS. Acquired immune deficiency syndrome. Well, people didn't used to have the understanding that congressmen are above the law. They didn't used to have the understanding that the president is above the law. They was ready to slap Clinton in jail. Even when they knew that that woman had set him up. Look, you don't go in that, don't no woman go in a man as far as that concerned. If it's an honest relationship, you don't keep the stuff that, you know, the semen on the dress and all that kind of thing. And come back later talking about he did this and he did that, unless you went in there purposely to do that. And you know, Bill Clinton didn't claim to be no saint. I mean, she threw she seduced him. He fell for it. And then she brought the dress back and said he did this. And he denied it at first, like anybody gonna do. But he said, well, I didn't really have relations with her. It was technically he was playing with words there. But the point of the matter is, he was set up. Do you understand? But they showed that they know the president is not above the law. Now, why all of a sudden everybody done got amnesia now? It's because all of them crooks. Every one of them that sit up there and tell you that you can't arrest the president. No, you cannot arrest the president. The president is an office. But you can sure arrest the one who holds that office. When he breaks the law, when he violates the Constitution that he swore to uphold, he ceased to be a president and became a violator of the law. Now, what is the remedy? What kind of signal does it send to the American people? If the president is not under the law, then he's lawless. Since when do you become president and you don't have to obey the law? And they're going to say the only solution is to impeach him. No, the solution is to arrest him. Just like anybody else. The scripture says the same thing. God spared not angels, but cast angels into hell that disobeyed him. Hit them fans. Wake up, hit the fans, man. All right. What you give us sleeping in my class? All right. All right. All right. So, you know, I want you to understand something. You know, I told you, you can't fool all the people all the time. You're sitting up playing games. Patriots don't. Look, that's the difference in America and all these other places where people are in charge and just doing what they please. America wasn't set up for people to just do what they please. America was set up with laws that govern what you may and may not do. And they agreed to abide by that. They take an oath when they go to office to uphold that. Now, let's get to this sedition. And it's the old meaning is just insurrection and rebellion. Now, let's go a little further. I'm going to read a little bit further. Speech or behavior directed against the peace of a state or nation. An offense that tends to undermine the authority of a state. Anything you do to try to undermine the legitimacy, anything you do to try to undermine the legitimacy or the authority of, for instance, the FBI. Now, you trying to purposely make them look like they don't, they shouldn't be trusted. If the people stop trusting the FBI, America falls. America's through. You see, now, since the fool can't do nothing but that, you can put that one out. and lock it out. You know, I'm not interested in that because, you know, this is
Q&A session has started.
okay.
The conference
Now,
has been locked.
No, you don't have to lock it now.
The
Then.
conference has been unlocked.
What you say?
Q&A session started.
Okay. Now, both of them. Now, you see, and I'm gonna tell you something else. Even the conference rooms and things that were set up, they were set up under the direction of Homeland Security and the Justice Department. But behind that was God. Didn't you sing in a song, "And crown thy good with brotherhood"? From what? From sea to shining sea? Well, now those who are for right, we can come together and have open talks about what is right, and we don't even have to see each other. Yet we can see each other if we want to. Got these Skype and I mean, now the whole world is a community. And look what the Holy Quran says. O community of men and jinn. The internet, the World Wide Web made the whole earth one community of jinn and men. And now Allah's messages are being recited to all of you. And he will ask you, as is written, were not my messages recited to you? This is all fulfilling the scriptures. You see? So now you have members of Congress and the man that's supposed to be president of the United States trying to undermine the American people's trust in the FBI, in the Bureau of Investigation, that's whole responsibility is the national security of the United States. And he's trying to get you to not trust them and not support them. What happens when the people stop trusting the FBI? When the FBI goes to people trying to get them to give them information that will help them protect them, that will help them protect the nation. If people don't trust them, they're not going to give them information. Well, then how are they going to do their job and you won't help them? I told you, once you take the dirt from around, once you take that which stabilizes the roots, the deep state. The roots are the deep part of the plant. Expose them, you kill the whole tree. Take their support away. Take the roots support away. And the tree dies. This is how you, is Donald Trump a righteous man? I'm talking to the evangelicals. Is Donald Trump righteous? Well, the Quran says, well, both books say that ain't none righteous. So if an unrighteous man brings you news, you are told to look carefully into it, lest you harm a people and then be sorry for what you did. You turned on James Comey for a man like Donald Trump. when James Comey was only trying to do his job and protect the integrity of those who are charged with protecting the national security of America. You took a man who don't have no history of caring about anybody but himself, and you put him over people who have a history of being willing to give their lives for their country. When there are bullets flying and all that kind of stuff, that's the one thing that, like I said, all police ain't crooked. You'd be surprised how glad you are to see them when bullets is flying and everybody running away from it, and you see them running toward it, putting their life on the line. Because some fool done lost his mind. And make no mistake, whenever you set out to purposely murder another human being, you are insane. Nobody in their right mind would want to kill their own family. So we all been kind of crazy. But I know better now. And now that I've spoken to you and you didn't offer me no rebuttal, I know you know better. Because if you didn't know better, you'd be arguing with me about that, about what I just said. So you know it's wrong to kill another human being for any reason. Even when you wind up being forced to do it, you still know it's wrong. When a person is found innocent of when they call it justifiable homicide, they're not saying it wasn't wrong. That's what you understand it to mean. But when it's in self-defense, it was unavoidable. But anyway, so now you see that you have members of Congress guilty of sedition. You got a man that's the president of the United States guilty of sedition. Every time he says something negative and attacks the FBI, he is undermining or attempting to create distrust and mistrust in that bureau whose job it is to guard the national security of America. Now you can try to dress it up all you want, but this is the first time that since I've been in the world that a president did the things. A man who occupies the office of president has never got out in the public and verbalized disparaging things and said things to purposely undermine the people's trust in the Federal Bureau of Investigation before this man. Nobody ever did that. are you to question their investigatory practices? They know things you don't know. The only way you find out that they tripping is when the investigation is over, and when they bring you what they found, then you determine whether or not they were tripping. But so far they done indicted how many people? Then why are you still calling, trying to suggest? See, he suggests one thing to you. He suggests to the dummies, and I call you a dummy, because you got to be pretty dumb to still be going for that definition that he's calling that investigation a witch hunt. No, he's calling for them people, just like he just got out and told the attorney general, you can do it, you can investigate. Tell him, do another witch hunt. Do a witch hunt with the FBI. Let me show you what a witch hunt looks like. I'll show you just a moment. You know, I just happen to have one up here. Now, this is what a witch hunt looks like.
This is the man at the center of Republican attempts to discredit the investigation into potential collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia. FBI agent Peter.
See, now the news media ain't calling it what it really is. They're talking about trying to undermine the investigation. No, they're trying to undermine the FBI. But they can't put it in them words. They won't put it in them words because then they would be taking you too close to what the term treason, you know, sedition and treason are the same thing. So just listen. Oh, I know a lot of y'all sitting up out there, you know, a lot of them who claim they was members of the Nation of Islam. They call themselves now talking about me. What are you doing defending America? I'm not defending America. I'm defending right. The messenger said, I say, my friend, give justice to where justice belongs and don't try to rob people out of justice. You better go and read Moses' history. Did Moses go there and try to turn Pharaoh's people against him? Moses wasn't told to go there and tell Pharaoh's people to rise up against him. That ain't what he was sent there for. He simply told him, you tell Pharaoh to let my people go. You tell him to let your people go. That's why when Moses went there, he said, let my people go. Huh? You and your people can live however you want in peace. Just let us go. Huh? And he respected Pharaoh and Pharaoh's people. Yes, he does. And so I know you will agree with me.
Investigations into Hillary Clinton's email and potential Russian collusion with the Trump campaign. And it is the text messages that he sent during that time that have led some Republicans to claim the Trump investigation is rigged.
And you got another text from your colleague, Lisa Page. Trump's not ever going to become president, right? Right? And you replied, no. No, he's not. We'll stop it. No.
Now tell me something. What does it tell you now that Trump is president? What does that question to that man mean? It don't mean nothing. Trump is president. Now, what did Mr. Strzok or any of those people do to try to avoid Mr. Trump being elected other than not vote for him? Now look how, now this is what a witch hunt looks like. Now here, and you know, when the FBI come questioning you, by the time they get to you to ask you questions, they know all the answers. You know, that's the one thing that I learned from some people that I know that are lawyers. One of the brothers told me that was at one time with us. He said, a good lawyer don't never ask questions that he don't already know the answer to. Everything he asking you, he already know the answer to it. And if you don't get the right answer, you just helping him build a case against you. Do you understand? When the FBI questioned people, evidence led them to you. And so, you know, I mean, now what led them to Mr. Strzok? I mean, did he say you did this and you purposely tried to do this to hinder Donald Trump from being elected president and all this kind of stuff? Now here this man that became president and now called himself trying to go after everybody who didn't vote for him or who didn't agree with him. He want to move them out of the Justice Department. Huh? This is the witch hunt. Now just listen. Now look who's participating in it.
Late at night, off the cuff, and it was in response to a series of events that included then-candidate. No, it's not. We'll stop it. That was written late at night, off the cuff, and it was in response to a series of events that included then-candidate Trump insulting the immigrant family of a fallen war hero. And my presumption, based on that horrible, disgusting behavior, that the American population would not elect somebody demonstrating that behavior to be president of the United States.
His text was to Lisa Page, an FBI attorney who struck.
Didn't nobody think Donald Trump would be elected president of the United States with his disrespectful attitude? Especially after all that carrying on you did when President Obama called an officer stupid and you fell out. He didn't call the officer stupid. He said the officer acted stupidly. And someone, what did he say? I mean, they was all up in arms, wasn't they? President Obama didn't attack the Justice Department. But you told him how out of order it was for him to publicly berate a police officer. And that had a tendency to kind of undermine the trust that the people might have. He thought about it. He came back and he said he spoke a little, you know, maybe in the wrong setting there. And he made peace with the officer and his friend, brought him to the White House, didn't he? This man gets out, this man that's in there now, he done disrespected everybody except his Nazi friends. And when one of them decides that they don't like him, he'll kick them to the curb too. Here got a man that's spent his life. I mean, from the time he was in his 20s, the man been in the Justice Department, dedicated his life to protecting America. And you side with a man who lied his way out of being drafted. He wasn't even man enough to say, I just ain't gonna go, man. Huh? I can respect a man saying he ain't gonna go. But make up a lie, bone spurs. that what he had bone spurs in his foot? Got a doctor's excuse to not go. You know, this the same man who say he loved the American flag, right? I ain't never seen a man standing up and yet looking like he is on his knees until I saw him in that Helsinki thing. Putin standing up over there looking like the boss, and he's standing there 6 foot something tall, looking like he was on his knees to Putin. So if the president bowed to Putin, what is he doing with the American flag? Dipping it? Dipping it to Russia? Well, there's a whole lot of people in this country that don't care nothing about the American flag. You just ride around here and look at all these Confederate flags on the license tags and all this kind of stuff. Them people don't care nothing about the stars and stripes. You liars. They want to get out there and call people SOBs and stuff, trying to hide behind your fake patriotism.
Allegedly having an affair with, and one Republican congressman went there.
And I can't help but wonder, when I see you looking there with a little smirk, how many times did you look so innocent into your wife's eyes and lie to her about these?
Here this man supporting Donald Trump, who said grab him by the... He done got more women paid off for his... and he gonna lecture this man on his marital... That ain't none of his business no way. But that's what a witch hunt looks like. See, this ain't about the FBI done did something wrong. This is about trying to, when you can't deal with the charges that's been being investigated on you, jump on the investigator. Huh?
There's no credibility of a witness. Shame on you.
Mr. Chairman, please, just
You know, Chairman, it's intolerable. Harassing with
your medication.
It's not normal. Not how things usually work in Congress.
You've been out of control since you've been on this committee. Why don't you leave it alone? This is not Benghazi.
The reason my Republican colleagues will not let you answer a question is because they're not interested in your answers.
That sums it up. Witch hunt. They don't agree with Donald Trump. The FBI ain't going along with, you remember Donald Trump asked Mr. Comey to pledge his allegiance to him? Huh? You got people in there that didn't vote for Donald Trump. What they doing investigating? What is this? Well, that's what a witch hunt is. It's when people oppose your views, then harass them. Huh? Well, that's what the definition of it is. And just watch this.
This is about promoting a narrative. You're a prop, so they can promote a narrative in an ongoing effort to distract from the serious investigation of the special counsel that is closing in on the Trump inner circle.
Now, So they're trying to undermine the people's trust in the FBI. See, that's the way you got to call it what it is. Don't say they're trying to undermine the investigation. No. If they was trying to undermine the investigation, they would hire their own private investigators and whatnot and bring their private investigators in there to show that this ain't this and this ain't that. But the fact of the matter is, they couldn't even do that until the FBI finished with their investigation and present the facts that they found. So they are trying to undermine the trust of the American people in the FBI. And once they can get you to not trust the FBI, well, then it don't make no difference what the FBI tell you. So you'll help destroy your own country. I got one question for you. I mean, you know, I remember them when they talked about Al Capone and whatnot. Al Capone had a lot of people that was supporting him. The people, I mean, he was buying friendship. I mean, he giving people stuff and all that, but didn't nobody suggest that the FBI trumped up anything on him. And when they brought him to trial, he was found guilty of tax evasion. Well, all them boys, all they don't pay no taxes. Is that right? So if you can get rid of taxes, then you won't catch them at that there because they kill all the witnesses. Boy, I'm telling you, you ought to be about done learned your lesson by now. The first rule in dealing with the devil is what? Because once you get in bed with the devil, he ain't gonna let you get out. Only one can get you out there, and it's me. So now look at this. This is a witch hunt. Now, they didn't just go after Mr. Strzok. Just a moment. Let's let you finish this.
Strzok testified that he didn't like Trump, but it didn't impact the investigation.
In the summer of 2016, I was one of a handful of people who knew the details of Russian election interference and its possible connections with members of the Trump campaign. This information has the potential to derail and quite possibly defeat Mr. Trump. But the thought of expressing that or exposing that information never crossed my mind.
You're asking us to believe
That didn't stop Republicans from spending hours trying to discredit him and the Russian investigation.
You know why he would say you asking us to believe that you wouldn't use that information? The reason he's saying that is because if it had been him, he would have used it. And that's why he couldn't be in the FBI. You got to have some kind of integrity to even be part of that bureau. Just like some schools, they won't let you in there unless you got a certain grade point average, unless you got a certain type of, they used to. They didn't just let anybody come to their school. If you want a beautifully cut diamond, you got to start with a diamond in the rough. It's just like me. Anybody can't follow me. No, it don't work like that. People say, well, I'm going to join you. I don't know where you get that from. I'm the one got to decide whether or not I'm going to let you be part of what I'm doing. And it's all kind of things going to come up that's going to weed you out if you ain't for real. Yeah, I ain't through. We just getting started. Let me show you something else. Let's see here.
Yesterday, FBI Director Christopher Wray refused to give Congress information about FBI agent Peter Strzok, who was involved in the Clinton investigation. Roll tape.
Now, they about to misrepresent Mr. Wray. Now watch this. And listen. And this is Trick News, Fox News. Now watch this.
Off Mueller's team who was anti-Trump, I don't think there'll be anybody left. The Democrat National Committee to Clinton in the Clinton investigation. Roll tape. He kicked everybody off Mueller's team who was anti-Trump. I don't think there'll be anybody left.
Now, just a moment. Let's look it up. Let's see here. Sedition. Let's see. What was that last one I gave y'all? Just a minute. Witch hunt. Here it is. An investigation carried out. Didn't Congress say they ain't going to investigate the FBI? All right. An investigation carried out ostensibly to uncover subversive activities, but in actuality is used to harass and undermine those with differing views. Now, what did he say? If you got rid of everybody that didn't vote for Trump on that investigation, there wouldn't be no investigation. Is that what he said? So what are they doing to the FBI? Call themselves harassing them. Okay. Witch hunt, right? Ain't that what Trump called for? Hey, ain't it? Every time he finished something, he'll get through tongue, he say, witch hunt. Like he used to say fake news. And then they'd come out with a whole bunch of fake news. Now they're coming up with some witch hunts. Right? Okay. I want you to know what's going on. That's all. Now listen to his words. This is the fella who stood back and was the wrestling coach. And at least he was over the wrestling coach, and they reported to him that there was a coach there that was molesting the young men, and he didn't do nothing. That's what the news on him was. Now, watch this.
He was anti-Trump. I don't think there'll be anybody left. The Democrat National Committee to Clinton campaign is involved in the Clinton investigation. Roll tape. He kicked everybody off Mueller's team who was anti-Trump. I don't think there'll be anybody left. The Democrat National Committee to Clinton campaign paid the law firm, who paid Fusion GPS, who paid Christopher Steele, who then paid Russians.
And now we have Special Agent Strzok. And that same agent is the one who reportedly interviewed Secretary Clinton in an interview that you and I have never seen conducted that way before.
Whether Strzok was involved in this, that needs to be disclosed to Congress. Whether the dossier was used to generate surveillance with a FISA court on a Trump associate, that needs to be disclosed to Congress.
Did Peter Strzok, was he involved in taking that to the court?
I'm not going to discuss in this setting anything to do with the FISA court application.
Joining me now, former U.S. Ambassador to UN, John.
Now, did you hear how he answered him? I'm not going to discuss in this setting whether or not Peter Strzok was involved in that. They know that now understand something. This is for show. This is a witch hunt. It's a false hunt for something they know don't exist. They want to make the ignorant think that the FBI is hiding something, when they know the policy of the FBI is not to get out in the public and discuss classified material. They know that. But a lot of the people that's watching, they don't know that. You see, Fox News is in on this sedition. Just call it what it is, man. I mean, they trying to help undermine the public trust in the FBI. That's what they're doing. And you need to call it what it is. Do you understand? You know, tell me something. Who been around the longest, the FBI or Fox News? What has Fox News ever done for you? Other than lie to you. You remember them boys was accusing Dr. Cosby on Fox News? And who was really guilty of that stuff? Donald Trump and all of them, all these people, Fox News and Donald Trump and the cohorts in Congress, they done all accused the FBI of having a witch hunt. But who's really having a witch hunt? Let me show you. A witch hunt is looking for something that you know ain't there. Right? Okay. Let's see here. Watch this. Now just watch this.
Paul Manafort's first trial, the one that ended this week, that was, of course, about bank fraud and tax evasion. And the president has made a stream of public statements now, both during the trial and after the trial, about basically what a tragedy it is that Paul Manafort was convicted by a jury on bank fraud and tax fraud charges. But in the next trial for Manafort, he's going on trial for being an unregistered agent of a foreign power while he was running Donald Trump's campaign to become president. His co-defendant for some of the charges that he's about to face in his next trial is his Russian-speaking, Soviet-born, longtime business partner who the FBI says is linked to Russian intelligence and who is believed by prosecutors to have fled to Moscow ahead of him being charged alongside Paul Manafort with some of the felony charges that have led to this next trial that Manafort's about to face. Old bank fraud and tax.
Is that a witch hunt? Or is that a legitimate investigation? I mean, now they done brought charges now. What have they actually shown you or me that the FBI have did that was unlawful? What? What they are doing is unlawful because they are trying to obstruct the FBI in the performance of what they are charged with, which is the national security of the United States. It's their duty to investigate all things that may endanger this nation. Then why is Congress, instead of encouraging them, trying to undermine the public trust in them by attacking them? You all better wake up. Look, I'm the head of the new nation of Islam. And I spend my days working towards that end. But at the same time, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told you all a long time ago, you will always find us to be peaceful, law-abiding citizens of yours. As long as we in this country, we will be a law-abiding citizens. And as long as I'm a law-abiding citizen of this country, I'm not going to stand by and remain silent while I see an injustice being done to those who are helping to preserve the peace that I'm experiencing and from living in this country. You're some very ungrateful people, man. You help a man who don't give a tinker's damn about you, and somebody who put their life on the line for you every day without you even knowing it. You curse them out, and you kick them. You're gonna regret that. You know, there's an old saying, God don't like ugly. Oh, let's hear some more from them.
Fraud charges back in the day? Okay. But being a secret foreign agent, running a presidential campaign, and committing felonies in cahoots with your Russian-speaking, Russian military intelligence-linked business partner as recently as this year, that's going to be a different kind of case. And we don't know if the president has anything to worry about in terms of what may come out in that second trial of Paul Manafort, or if the president has anything to worry about if Manafort, in fact, decides to change his mind and start cooperating with prosecutors in order to...
Well, he don't have nothing to worry about if he ain't guilty. But he sure not acting like a man who ain't guilty, calling people rats for cooperating with his Justice Department. What, man? Could you believe that? The man calling people who help the FBI, he calling the people who help to catch people who breaking the law. He called them people rats. And praise Manafort for not flipping. Here a man just got convicted on 8 counts of fraudulent behavior. And the woman on the jury came out and said it would have been 18 counts if it hadn't been for one holdout. And Donald Trump gets up there talking about good man. He's a good man. They're like them people who murdered that woman with that car, ran over, the woman got killed. He talking about his good people on both sides. But this man sitting up calling people rats who decide after they done got caught. And you better be glad the FBI is on the case. Look at these people and what they've been doing that you didn't know nothing about. But the FBI, they don't sleep. And that's why you able to sleep. And you should be thankful for that. I don't care if you black or white, don't care what color you are. if you are a law-abiding citizen, if you're not trying to hook and crook and trying to live an honest life, you ain't got no beef with the FBI. They're not here to investigate right doing. They investigate wrongdoing. And if it ain't none, they don't find any. And they don't make up none. Historically, that's true. And if you want to know what to expect from anything, any person, place, or thing, look at the history of that thing, and you pretty much know what to expect from that thing in the present and in the future. Just look at the history. Those people, I'm pretty sure, I ain't never been to no FBI meeting, never been to no FBI training camp, but I understand this, that with the kind of job that they have, their reputation is everything. And the minute they let that reputation get tarnished, they are through. I mean, they have to preserve the reputation of being trustworthy. If they ever get caught trumping up charges on people, they through. From that point on, no one will ever trust their charges again. And they know that. They understand that. That's why if they accuse you of something, they got pictures. They got tapes. Now what you wanna say? Wasn't me. Who is that? show you. Why you think everybody cooperating? This is that joke of a justice system that the president called them. They call it a joke. He called it a joke. America's justice system is a joke. Is that what he called it? Do you suppose it's funny now? You know, oftentimes, it's just like with me. As I read the scriptures, I understand that just because you know that a person did wrong, you don't have to always call them on it. You don't always have, because sometimes, as the scripture says, don't give not heed to every word which is spoken, lest you hear your servant curse you. For thou knowest that you yourself have said things that you shouldn't have at one time or another. I mean, what? Now you want the FBI to be, if they don't think a man should be president, then you should kick them off the FBI? You ain't gonna never have nobody stay in the FBI then. Those people got a right to their private views on candidates. They just don't have a right to let that private view spill over into how they conduct themselves as agents of the FBI. And if they can't separate the two, they don't need to be on there. It's just like me. If I can't separate my knowledge of history and how we was treated by white people, if I can't separate my hatred of that from giving justice to them and everybody else, then ain't got no business being no son of man. That's just the way it is. You know, because when you get to the point where you can be out in the, you heard of being snowblind? You get out there and all that white around you for so long, if you're not careful, you go blind. Everything starts looking the same to you. When you get to the point where you can't see nothing but the color of people, and that determines how you feel about them, you ain't got no business being no judge over nobody. Because you ignore what's important. The scripture didn't say you be judged by your color. It said every man will be judged according to his works. Now, I have grown up in Islam, in the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. That's Islam. What he taught, that's Islam. I've grown up in that. And when I see a child in that, I'm not finna go back to childhood. I'm going to help that child grow up. Yeah. And you see, I'm able to do that because I stand up and talk for hours and hours. And people who were in the nation, when I was in there with them, you don't hear them coming in here calling me on the carpet for something I'm saying. All they can do is sit there and bear witness that they was wrong. They didn't understand. Come in here telling me I don't understand. I have plenty of proof that my understanding is correct. If you don't believe it, you try me. I'll put my life on what I say. Now, will you put yours on what you say? So this is, as you can see, they got evidence. You don't get to trial in federal courts and whatnot looking for witches. You got to have evidence. You see? But now, if the Congress want to play their little game, they're going to find out that they never should have tried to consolidate the branches of government. See, that's sedition too. Congress is supposed to be a check on the presidency. It's a separate but equal branch of government. It's not a rubber stamp for the executive branch. It is a check on the executive branch. They have turned Congress into a rubber stamp, which means that they are trying to undermine and overthrow the American government. And the ones who know that they're doing that is the ones they are attacking, the FBI. And you can sit up here and tell the American people a lie, talking about the FBI can't charge the man who's holding the office of president, and the FBI cannot charge Congress for doing their job. No, they can't charge you for doing your job, but they can sure charge you for sedition. They can sure charge you for treason. They can sure charge you for not upholding the Constitution that you swore to uphold. And whenever you attacked, the first time you attacked the FBI, you broke your agreement to uphold the Constitution. Because those are the people who investigate things that you can't investigate because you don't have the knowledge they have. They make a report to the president and to the Congress about what needs to be done, criminal activity that's going on. You sitting up in the halls of Congress, how would you be able to know what kind of criminal activity going on? And the ones who are in a position to know that, that's who you attacking. That's called sedition. That's what a witch hunt is. And you know they don't agree with you because they are patriots. How in the world is a patriot going to agree with a traitor? I'll show you an example. Now, I want you to, you see, I don't think that I want you to see something here. Let me see here. Watch this.
Next guest has not been a friend to Donald Trump. But what does he think of Trump's appointees? Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Peters is with us. Ralph, welcome back to the program. I want to go through the major picks here, or the possible picks. First of all, Mitt Romney, possibly Secretary of State. Your take?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's not my job to be a friend to any candidate. It's my job to look at them hard.
Okay.
But look, I am extremely, extremely impressed by the overall security picks or the possible picks that President-elect Trump is looking at. Mitt Romney would...
Did you hear what he said? It's not my job to be a friend to any candidate. Huh? But now he's on Fox News. Now just listen to him. Let me go back to that part again.
Secretary of State, your take?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's not my job to be a friend to any candidate. It's my job to look at them hard.
Okay.
But look, I am extremely, extremely impressed by the overall security picks or the possible picks that President-elect Trump is looking at. Mitt Romney would be a great choice for Secretary of State. I like John Bolton too, but Mitt Romney does have the experience, the knowledge, the demeanor, the negotiating skills, and frankly the gravitas to do this. And if you put him up with President-elect Trump and have them as the negotiating team, good cop, bad cop, I think they'd be terrific. And I'm very encouraged by that.
Okay. How about General Flynn at National Security?
National Security Advisor.
Yes.
I've known Mike Flynn since 1985 when we butted heads in the captain's course in the Army. Mike is diligent, energetic, vibrant, hardworking, workaholic type guy, tough-minded, and he knows the Middle East. He knows from his own personal time on the ground, he knows Afghanistan and Iraq, and I think by extension Syria. He'd be great in the war on terror. I have two reservations about Mike. One is he's so much like the president-elect temperamentally. There's no breaks there. They're both very temperamental, impetuous people. So there's that problem. The other thing is, as good as Mike is on so many other things, and he was a very, very crusading director of DIA, he doesn't get the Russians. He's never really worked that problem seriously. He's been weak on the Russians, and unfortunately, he made a mistake. Intelligence officers active duty or retired. Once an intelligence officer, always an intelligence officer. You don't take money from the Russians, the Chinese, the Arabs, or anybody else.
Do you hear that? And he was on Fox News telling them, and this was before the stuff about Flynn came out, but he knew Mike Flynn. He said no. Huh? All right.
Nonetheless, Mike's worked hard. He deserves a chance.
Okay. Retired four-star Marine Corps General Mattis, a possibility at defense. You're laughing. Why?
I love this guy. I mean, Jim Mattis is the greatest Marine of his generation. He's just incredible. I wouldn't presume to pretend to know him intimately, but we've spent time together over the years. I admire him unreservedly.
You know why Marines make such patriotic Americans? Do anybody know? Why? Yes. The Marine Corps was always volunteer. Of course, the Air Force, the Navy, all of them volunteer. But the Marine Corps, if you volunteered to go in the Marine Corps, they have some of the toughest basic training you can get. You get insulted, you get kicked, but if you make it through that, you pretty much in it because you really want to be. You understand? So now the whole military is all volunteer. Now that says a lot when you see people serving in the military now. They all volunteered. They deserve respect. And they deserve to have a commander-in-chief that's just as brave as they are. Not a coward. Not someone who cares more about himself than he does about America.
We call him Warrior Monk because he's not married. His nickname Mad Dog, which is really misleading because he's actually a very, very acute, astute, observant guy. He's not only physically brave, a great Marine, he's probably the best read four-star general we've had in this century. He's extremely incisive, and boy, I would support him. He is the ultimate guy you want in defense.
Well,
great choice.
A full-blooded recommendation if ever I heard one. Last one, Jeff Sessions, Senator Sessions as Attorney General.
Well, wouldn't it be nice to have somebody who would put a stop to politically correct shenanigans, who would challenge so many of the less chivalrous? I think Senator Sessions is a very good choice to act as a corrective to the nonsense of the last 8 years. He's a constitutionalist. He will be fair and just to all under the law. He will not pander to any special interest groups. And you know what, Stuart? He's a gentleman. I just like the guy. And even though he's more conservative than I am on some issues, I respect him. And I think, boy, the people we just talked about, what a great team that could be. So I have to say that I'm very pleasantly surprised with where the president-elect seems to be going. Let's see what the actual choices are.
That's excellent. All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. Welcome back to the fold.
Hey, Stuart, I am not in anybody's fold.
I know you're not.
I'm probably.
You see, he didn't let him get away with that. No, don't be putting me in no camp, man. You know, I'm not nobody's groupie. You know, that's like by people, you know, it's like brother tried to, you know, if people try to do that with me, you know, because I am what I believe in, you know. I mean, just because you see other people that claim to believe as I believe, that don't mean squat to me. It's a whole lot of people Donald Trump claimed he loved the flag of America. He lying. He boo-boo on the flag all day long. And people sitting up in Congress claim they love the flag and love America. Then why are they not upholding the constitutional rights of all of the people in America? What they doing down there on the southern border there? Kidnapping people's babies. Attacking the Justice Department. Calling people rats for cooperating with the FBI. The president of the United States calling people rats who cooperate with the FBI. I know you think you done took over, but you ain't done took over. All you done did was manifested yourself, and they coming to get you. You mark my words. You ain't gonna like it when you see the really patriotic people come after you. You mark my words. You think there's some kind of game. This ain't no game.
The WFS is full.
Oh, no doubt about that. All right, good stuff indeed. We'll.
Hey, Stuart, I am not in anybody's fold.
I know you're not.
I'm probably in the KGB's fold, the WFSB's fold.
Oh, no doubt about that. All right, good stuff indeed. We'll see you again soon. Thanks very much.
Now, you saw, he wasn't going to let that go off with that note. No, buddy. No, ain't in nobody's fold. Now watch this. I mean, he got a history now.
More on this, Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Peters, Fox News strategic analyst. Good to see you, sir. Hey, Leland, Happy New Year. Happy New Year, a few days away. New year, almost unprecedented new kind of developments between Israel and the United States. We knew that Benjamin Netanyahu and the Obama administration didn't really like each other. We knew that President Obama and Mr. Netanyahu sort of had this personal animosity towards each other. But do you ever expect it to be laid out like this? I didn't expect it, but I'm not that surprised by it. Because Leland, and you have a lot of experience in the Middle East, this goes beyond the personal animosity between Prime Minister Netanyahu and President Obama. This Kerry's tirade was the logical culmination of Obama's Cairo speech, the infamous Cairo speech from early in his first administration. Obama's been very consistent on this. Now, he had to restrain his disdain for Israel because he had to win re-election and he had to get through the 2016 election, which didn't work out very well for the Democrats. But nonetheless, Obama consistently has, and I put it in just 6 words, his Middle East policy, 6 words: praise Muslims, ignore Christians, blame Jews. He comes from a background, literally from the cradle up, in which Israel is a villain. In the hard left, in which he spent most of his life, I mean, he's much more dogmatic than people realize. And the hard left insisted Israel is an oppressor and the Palestinians are noble freedom fighters. Then you have the side of Obama that comes from the Reverend Wright's church, where anti-Semitism is a strong thread. So without overstating.
Now you listen to him now. And now he describing President Obama. Now, this is his history. But at least he really believed what he's saying. Do you understand? I can go along with somebody who really believe what they're saying. Because that's a person that you can reason with. Because when you talk about, just like Reverend Wright ain't had no business to talk like he was talking. He was taking part of the teachings of the Nation of Islam and incorporating them into his church, his rhetoric of his church. And it just didn't fit. But now, where a man like Lieutenant Colonel, what's his name? Peters, if he run into me, I could change his mind about what he said. Because, all I have to do is remind him and just ask him a few questions. Hey, how do you feel about freedom? How do your forefathers feel about freedom? Your forefathers said this when they were being tyrannized by, what's his name, King George. They got fed up with it. And then when they were debating on whether or not they was going to declare their independence and go to war for their independence, one of them said, give me liberty or give me death. They said taxation without representation is tyranny. And they did not want to live under a tyrant. For that's what most kings in this world became. They became tyrants and just was wearing the title king. But in actuality, they were none but a tyrant. And so I would go on to ask Mr. Peters, what if it was you and your people had been treated by me and my people like you and your people treated me and my people? Would you be saying, and we were in charge of America, would you be saying God bless America, or would you be saying God damn America? I already know the answer to that. I know white people. White people believe in, it's like one of them said earlier, an eye for an eye. You believe in a tooth for a tooth, life for life. You see, so if I was in, you know, white people got smart as far as dealing with me. They don't say nothing to me. Because they couldn't do what I do. There ain't no way they can condemn me for what I say about them. Because everything I say about them, I can prove, and they're guilty of it. The thing is, I know why it was done. And I know that it really, just like we didn't have no choice, they didn't either. But you do have a choice now on how you act toward me, on how you act after I spoke to you. And I am going to hold you responsible for that. So now you can either benefit from me being here, or you can be destroyed by it. You can't on the one hand, when President Bush came out and praised Muslims, didn't nobody say nothing. He said Islam is a good religion, and he wasn't lying. Islam is the only true religion. Just not that stuff they calling Islam over there. Islam is what I'm here establishing. And make no mistake, Islam is about to be established all over the planet Earth. You see that hurricane that's hurrying over toward the islands? Hurricane Lane. Well, America is in Hurricane Lane, and I don't mean that lane that's over there on the way to Hawaii. I'm talking about the lane for hurricanes to come. America is in the bullseye. You better be glad I'm here. But you hear this Lieutenant Colonel? I mean, he's telling it like he see it is, like he feels it is. Now, watch this.
I think all this is predictable, and Obama has been challenged by the facts.
Colonel, I get the argument, but there's an argument that at least we need to talk about, which is the administration's argument. It says, look, this administration has given $38 billion to Israel, more than any other administration. That's a fact. And Secretary Kerry's argument when yesterday said, look, he said, essentially, Israel's settlement building harms American interests. That's
debatable point. Therefore, as the Secretary of State, we have to protect American interests by calling out even a friend for doing something that harms us. Are Israeli settlements not in the interest of the United States? It is as big of an issue as they'd like you to believe?
Well, it's an issue, and it's an important issue, but it's not as big as they're insisting. And the fact is this, that I don't approve of everything Israel does. I don't approve of everything the United States does. But we have to keep perspective. Israel is an island of civilization in a sea of barbarism. Israel is not only the only democracy, it's the only place in the Middle East where women have equal rights, where there's real education, where there's religious freedom.
Now, see, that's one of the reasons why they don't focus on the Nation of Islam and what we teach, because no one can refer to us as barbarians. But when you got people who think that smite the next mean cut people's head off, you know, I mean, and they put these images of people who don't understand Islam, misunderstanding the Holy Quran, and out there, a man steals something, they chop his hand off, and you know, and then say that that's what the Prophet taught, and that's what the Quran said: cut the hand off of the thief, and all that kind of thing. Well, no wonder people look at, you know, they'll show you that and say, look at these barbarians here. Huh? You notice they don't never point us out. Won't they come in here and tell me you think I'm a barbarian and stay on that phone? And certainly if I'm a barbarian, you can prove it by having a conversation with me and show how uncivilized I am. No, don't none of them want to have. Don't nobody, no religious person, no scholar or scientist in this world wants to get in a debate with me. You just think you know a lot of stuff. Most of what you know is transitory. Your colleges and universities prove that. Every time you go to a university and learn a subject matter, you go there 4 years later, they don't even have the same books on that subject matter no more. Which means your knowledge is now outdated. If it was really the truth, it wouldn't be outdated. You get temporary knowledge because you live in a temporary world. Your world wasn't made to go forever. It was made to go for 6,000 years. And now the 6,000 year term for it is up. And I'm here to give that which will last forever. If you ain't got sense enough to lay hold to what I'm offering you, well, then that's your fault. Ain't mine. What, I'm supposed to get on my knees and beg you to take life instead of death? I'm not going to beg you to do nothing. Didn't nobody have to beg me?
Where there's hard-won prosperity. It's part of our civilization. And the Palestinians have had chance after chance from 1948 through 56, 67, 73, and again and again and again. It has been Palestinian intransigence that has prevented a two-state solution. And now, See now, he's overlooking the fact that the Palestinians were there and they made the state of Israel in the middle of the Palestinians' land. They did that. So you don't go invade people's country and then tell them get over it. You know, I mean, you know, that's just wrong. But you have it's like these people that Donald Trump was up there trying to suggest that
the South African presidents are over there murdering white people and committing genocide. Black people ain't got nothing to commit no genocide on no white folks with. It's just the opposite. They was over there committing genocide on black people. It's like these people talking about black people is a threat to white people. A threat to you how? You got all the atomic bombs. You got all the nuclear weapons. You got all the bullets and the guns and all of this stuff. Even when you see black people with guns, they got them from you, white people. Now, how are we some kind of threat to you? You liar. If you were really justified, even in your own mind, to be trying to murder us, you wouldn't have to lie about it. You ain't got no history of black people running around. One thing to support him because you felt like, well, maybe he was going to do better. I want to apologize for that little interruption, but I guess that's just I'm not going to say somebody's making mischief. Maybe it was on IN or whatever. I don't know. But the point is that, when Allah told Moses to go and speak to Pharaoh, Moses was afraid, just as I was afraid. And Allah showed Moses what he could do, as he showed me what he could do. And then I learned to be more scared of him than I was of the white man. And so I just do what Allah tells me, because I know that I'm not alone. Allah have shown me. And he even melted the polar caps and stuff. He's still adding to the water table. He said, now you remember, I told you I was kept this reserved for the day of battle and war. You see how big that Hurricane Lane is? Remember, I told you a good while back, I say the Pacific ain't going to be so Pacific no more. Yeah, now you see it. It's a whole lot of things about to change. And so I'm just telling you, for your own good, straighten up. Look, I told you what you did for the past 6,000 years, all that's forgiven. I don't care what it was. It's forgiven until after I spoke to you. Now you gonna be held accountable for what I said to you and how you acted after I made clear to you the truth. If you decided you wasn't gonna listen to me, you are gonna be held responsible for that, because I told you I'm the Son of Man, The scripture told you that the Son of Man is the Lord of the Sabbath day. And if you ain't got no better sense than to ignore the Lord, well, that's you. Well, I'm not here to beg you. Noah's people thought Noah was a joke until the flood came. Yeah. So, and I'm going to let you finish hearing Mr. Peters, and then I'm going to let you hear him once more.
Terrorists. All you're going to see is a continued muddling through.
Well, we've often seen the time that Israel makes those major concessions, whether it be with Egypt, whether it be with Jordan, and makes peace and sits down, whether it be with what they offered the Palestinians at the end of the Clinton administration, was at the time when they felt like they had the most safety and security in a friend in the United States, not when you had somebody pushing back on them. Zoom out for me, though, here. We've talked about this before, that we're sort of in uncharted territories. We have a Democratic administration abandoning Israel, our closest ally in the Middle East. We have a Republican administration that is incoming, that's now cozying up really to Vladimir Putin and the right.
How was President Obama's administration abandoning Israel after you just said that they gave Israel over $30-something billion, gave them the Iron Dome defense system? How was that abandoning Israel? But the American people don't want Israel dictating to the American government policy. They don't want that. Even George Washington, he warned about getting so friendly with nations that you get caught up in their squabbles. And then wind up being used to fight other people's wars. It's a lot of things that you don't keep up with, and so you wind up going down the wrong road. But anyway, that's
President-elect Trump saying this about Russian hacking.
I think we ought to get on with our lives. I think the computers have complicated lives very greatly.
Now you see standing there next to Donald Trump, Don King. What Don King have always been about? Money. Is that right? So he got paid, right? And every one of you black preachers that was up there next to Donald Trump, I know you got paid. But just wait a minute.
The age of computer has made it where nobody knows exactly what's going on.
Knowing you got to feel like you're in the twilight zone.
Yeah, I do, because we do know, without doubt, not only that the Russians did it, we know which Russians did it, which desks they were sitting at. And President Trump, he's got a lot of good initiatives going. I'm rooting for him. He's our president. He's going to be our president. But he's got to decide whether he's going to defend America or defend Vladimir Putin. He can't go on cozying up to and making excuses for Vladimir Putin, who hates America viscerally and is our enemy, not because we.
Why do you think that? Do you think the President-elect Trump doesn't see that, doesn't care, thinks he can make a friend out of Vladimir Putin? Where is this disconnect between folks like you and the President-elect on Russia?
Well, I think the basic disconnect is that President Trump has not been interested in foreign policy, except when it has to do with business affairs. He doesn't have a background in it. And he doesn't understand the long history of Russia. He doesn't know Russians. And he certainly doesn't know Vladimir Putin. And Leland, my concern is simply this. Vladimir Putin has merely humiliated 2 U.S. presidents in a row. Now he has another third U.S. president who he believes he can manipulate. And if, God knows, I want Trump to be a success. I want America to be a success. But Putin is our enemy.
As you point out, 2 U.S. presidents sort of felt the same way, that they could make nice, and as George W. Bush, they see into the soul of Vladimir Putin. That didn't work out so well for any of them, or Barack Obama's reset. Colonel Peters, appreciate your time, sir. Always a good chat.
Thank you, Leland. Thanks.
All right. Now, let's see here. Now watch this. You see, you have to, the first thing you do, you can't on the one hand say oh, that's good man there. That's as long as he agreeing with what you want. But when a man that's patriotic discovers that maybe he done gave a little too much benefit of the doubt to somebody, he'll correct himself. So watch this.
Thank you for coming on the program. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here, Brian. We all have to do our part in these dreadful, dreadful days in Washington.
What is the most dreadful part about it for you?
Well, the most dreadful part is that we have a president who does not respect our system of government, does not understand our government, who is not interested in understanding our government, who believes that the Constitution is a menu from which you can choose only the most delectable items, who disdains career bureaucrats, who doesn't respect the Constitution. So, I mean, that's one thing, but the evil twin of that is that I believe, as a former Russia analyst for most of my career, and having worked directly with Russian intelligence services, I am convinced that the President of the United States is enthralled to Vladimir Putin. There is no other way to explain his behavior, and he perfectly fits the profile of the kind of people the Russians target. So when it comes to worries, Trump gives us something new to worry about virtually every day.
Yes, he's enthralled to him. He borrowed all that money because he couldn't. One of the major reasons he done fell out with America is because he couldn't abuse the banking system no more. Man, he boasting about borrowing money and then telling the banks, if you either take this amount, I'm gonna file bankruptcy. Now, what is that? Man, borrowing money with no intentions of paying it back. So the American banks, they stopped loaning money. It became against the law to loan. You can't just loan money to people and knowing they're not going to pay it. So when he couldn't abuse the banking system no more, what he did? He borrowed money from Russia, borrowed money from somebody else. And whoever he can get the money from, that's who he get loyal to. That's what it appears. I mean, he showed now he's so, I mean, anytime you done been back and forth to a place so long that your son or can tell you when he's asked, what is your favorite city? And he say, Moscow. They never forgot that interview. I can't even find it no more. I guess they won't put that up there. But his son was asked, what's his favorite city? And he said Moscow. Anyway, but now you see Mr. Peters ain't biting his tongue now. Huh?
It's important not to lose sight of the overall picture is that this is a distinctly un-American president who really doesn't seem to like America very much, certainly doesn't respect it. And he's a president who appears to be enthralled to a foreign power, a hostile foreign.
How could he care about America and attacking the FBI? How could he care about America when he set up and publicly says that America's justice system is a joke and a laughing stock? What kind of thing is that to say, and you're the president of America? And even if you thought that, is the public the place to say that?
I mean, this is unbelievable to me. I could never have foreseen this. I was a pretty good analyst, made a lot more good calls than bad calls. I never could have foreseen this, to use a cliche word, this Orwellian situation.
When you sound the alarm the way you're doing right now, do you worry that it has the opposite effect of your intent?
that you actually scare people off or make them tune out by saying such harsh things about the president?
No, I don't worry about it because I refuse to calculate what I say based on who it might please or who might displease. We've got plenty of that in Washington. What we need is people who will speak honestly and say what they believe and not worry about who it offends. I'm just sick and tired of people hedging and hemming and hawing. This is a president of the United States who is a danger to the republic. And Brian, look, the only reason I am here today on this show or any show isn't because I'm enamored with the chance to be on television. It's because, again, we all need to do our part. These are parlous times. It is not hyperbole to say that this man and his henchmen and henchwomen constitute a real threat to our republic. We will survive it, but there is real damage.
How much do you blame your former network, Fox News? You have called it a destructive propaganda machine when you resigned earlier this year. Are they partly at fault for propping up Trump?
Well, certainly they're, of course. I mean, I left Fox because as a former military officer who took an oath to the Constitution, I could not be part of a channel that, to me, was assaulting the Constitution, the constitutional order, the rule of law. But that...
Didn't I tell you? They are all of them, a bunch of traitors, man. Them people using the news, the so-called, the title news media to put propaganda against the American government. Because they see America as the only thing standing in between them and world domination. That's what they got in their mind. America in the way. You know, when you're trying to rob a bank, the first thing you want to do is check the security system out and get rid of that security system, right? America is the security system. The government of America, the FBI, they are the highest profile security that other nations are trying to pattern themselves after, especially the people all over other countries are trying to get the best of what America offers. And as example, you know, a republic where people are free to speak the truth against those who are in power without fear and whatnot. So Donald Trump trying to put forth an image of America now that you ain't free to speak truth against power. We go after everybody. And you know, that's his way of trying to show the world that America ain't what you think it is. You got taking babies down there on the border from their mothers and stuff. See, same thing happening in America that's happening in your country. You don't want to be like America. That's what that's about. It's all about defaming and changing the world's view of America. Because if you can take the people's you know, when somebody looks up to somebody, then you, in order to destroy their hope and to quell their desire to be like that person, you got to sling some mud on that person. Do you understand? And so that's what this people, the crooks in Congress, and that have united, they have consolidated the executive branch with the lawmaking body, branch of government, and which was not the intent. Instead of them conducting oversight and making sure that the executive branch does not overstep himself, they rubber stamping what the executive branch do. Like Governor Norquist said he wanted. He said, well, the leadership gonna come out of the Congress, out of the House of Representatives, and all we need is a Republican with good dexterity that can sign what we put in front of him. Right? Remember that? Yeah. He gonna consolidate the powers. In other words, he's gonna overthrow the American government. And this man, Mr. Lieutenant Colonel Peters, He see that now. And as he said, I'm not going to tiptoe around nobody. Better speak up.
Fox isn't immoral, it's amoral. It was opportunistic. Trump was just a gift to Fox, and Fox in turn is a gift to Trump. And as you observed earlier, it's a closed loop. And so people that only listen to Fox have an utterly skewed view of reality. And by the way, earlier some of your guests were describing Trump world, in terms of Republicans. The Republican Party's gone, or at least it's dormant. What we see now, the people supporting.
I told you. Huh. It's like the Boston Tea Party. They dressed up like Indians, but they wasn't Indians. These people dress up like Republicans, but what they are is Nazis and the Klan and all of these people who could give less than a damn about this country.
Are radicals, these couch potato anarchists. They're people that don't have a program to make America great again. And by the way, America is great right now. Rather, they're destructive. They want to tear things down. They want vengeance. And Trump is brilliant at that. He's done what autocrats and charlatans and false messiahs who have throughout history have done. He's told his core supporters, you are not to blame. You're not to blame for the mistakes you made. You're not to blame for your failures. It's them. It's the minority. It's the immigrants. It's fake news. It's deep state.
It's a very compelling story. It's a really compelling story. How do you counter that story, Ralph?
Good, Nick.
You counter that story with the truth. You tell that person who's sitting down there, being comfortable, blaming other people for. We got an old saying: "Knock me down, shame on you." But if I sit there and don't get up, shame on me. I mean, it's like the messenger said. He said, we love to charge the slave master with being our hindering cause. He said, he's not to blame today. You are to blame. He said, you don't need to blame them now. He could say you free. Then that is the freedom to get up and do for yourself. He said, and I say to you, if the black man of America will respect himself and will get up and do something for himself, his one slave master will come and respect him and help him to do something for self. You can't say they don't help you to go for yourself. They're helping us to go for ourselves. These Caucasians here in Mississippi, these people ain't trying to hinder me. If I go to the bank and can show that we're going to pay the loan back, they're glad to loan us the money. That's what they're in business for. But who wants to help somebody that's lazy and just looking for somebody to blame for their shortcoming? You're lazy. And any white man in America that ain't got nothing, it's because you too lazy to get up off your behind and go to work. Ain't nobody's fault but yours. That's the first thing a man do. Don't no man feel like a man sitting down whining like a baby, talking about, he won't let me do nothing, they won't give me, and they owe me. Nobody owe you nothing but respect. You look like a grown man blaming another man for you not being able to make progress. Get up and make some progress. Don't you know whenever you blame other people for what's wrong with you, you give them power over you. And I'll tell you something else. If all of the people that you blaming was to sit down and do nothing, you still wouldn't be able to do nothing. Because you have not practiced doing anything. All you done did was sit down all day on your fat behind, doing nothing. And everybody that's working and producing stuff, all you can do is find fault with. But if they stop working and producing stuff, you wind up with nothing. No, I don't go along with begging. I don't care who you are. Stop begging. Get up. Find gainful employment. If you don't know how to do nothing, go to school, go to a vocation school and learn how to do something. Go to a man that's working on a construction site and say, hey man, can I carry some lumber for you? Can I do this for you? And while you doing that for him, if you do a good job at it, you can, you'll say, well, look, you want to learn how to do some of this? Come in, let me show you how to do this. That's how I learned how to build stairs. Man showed me how to use a square to cut my own steps, to climb with. Don't nothing come to a sleeper but a dream. And don't no man that gets up and go to work and earns his living by the sweat of his brow, he cannot respect you as his equal when you're not doing the same thing. Sitting down begging. You don't even respect yourself. A self-respecting man won't leave himself in the position of a beggar.
Have to fight for this country in terms of being good citizens, in terms of voting and giving informed votes, and in terms of reaching out. You know, the core of some Trump supporters, the hardcore, you cannot reach them. But there are many people who voted for Trump because they so strongly dislike Mrs. Clinton. And there are people we can talk to. And I think, if anything, what we need to do is get past the personal vilification of somebody who didn't vote the way we did. To me, the far right and far left are interchangeable, and what's lost is the center. And most Americans are somewhere in the center, left, the center, right, or center. They're reasonable people, but they are being drowned out, and we're all helping. All the media is helping because we're so enthralled to Trump. Every tweet wipes out everything. Bridge collapse in Italy, crisis in Turkey, cities falling to Taliban in Afghanistan. None of it matters. It's all Trump's tweets.
It does matter, but we do have to be careful not to let the tweets overwhelm us. I completely agree with you. We have to exercise editorial judgment. And I think journalists are better at that than we were 18 months ago, at knowing what tweets are newsworthy and which are distractions. Can I just ask you briefly about Brennan, though? I wanted to show Fox and MSNBC side by side, because you described Fox as a closed loop. Let's take a look at the two channels side by side.
So after years of serious misconduct, former CIA chief and Obama sycophant John Brennan can kiss his security clearance bye-bye. This is a guy who you want to keep close to you, even if he's critical of the president. This is a guy who actually knows something about some of the biggest threats facing this country right now.
The fact that he got this far is astounding. I look forward to his book, because I know there will be one.
John Brennan is an American patriot. And how did somebody so obviously limited intellectually get to be CIA director in the first place?
If you believe that this decision was made because of the president's duty to protect Americans, then I've got a bridge to sell you.
Rob, do you think your former colleagues at Fox are proud of their performance?
The polite word is prostitutes. So we'll just leave it at that. I don't want to be the go-to guy for Fox bashing forever, but what Fox is doing is causing real harm to our country right now. And as for Brennan, I am not the world's biggest John Brennan fan, but yanking his clearance was wrong. It was wrong because that's not how we do things in this country. You know, as Jim Mattis observed, yes, we pull clearances for a lot of reasons, usually to do with bad behavior, danger that people could be susceptible to espionage overtures, people who are financially irresponsible. We never pull clearances for partisan political purposes. We don't do it. And so on this particular issue, I'm absolutely on Brendan's side. And it's encouraging to me to see so many people who wore uniforms for a long time come out, because military people aren't.
I want to remind the Justice Department of this. The Constitution is the final word and the last word on things. If there's laws against sedition, and you know the definition of sedition, treason, and whatnot, when you see people committing treasonous acts, trying to undermine the Justice Department, people in the government trying to get you to distrust the government, what kind of foolishness is that? By all means, arrest them.
We're conditioned not to be, but it's gotten so bad that now you do have generals and admirals and former intelligence chiefs speaking out because they recognize that, again, without hyperbole, that these times we're facing serious threats to our core institutions. When the Justice Department, when the FBI, when the intelligence agencies, when the courts are under attack, I mean, domestically, from our own president and his paladins, how can we not be alarmed if we care about this country in the least?
Ralph Peters, thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You saw Lieutenant Colonel Peters go from, just wait and see till he saw, and then he spoke. Just a moment. Give me a moment.
Here's a question we were wondering today. Who in Donald Trump's orbit is not working with federal prosecutors? In addition to the news that federal prosecutors in New York have given immunity to longtime Trump Organization CFO Alan Weisselberg just yesterday, David Pecker, the chairman of American Media Inc., which publishes a National Enquirer, was also granted immunity. And now, according to the Associated Press, the National Enquirer kept a safe containing documents on hush money payments and other damaging stories it killed as part of its cozy relationship with Donald Trump leading up to the 2016 presidential election. But, the report says, after the Wall Street Journal initially published the first details of Playboy model Karen McDougal's catch and kill deal shortly before the 2016 election, those assets became a liability. Fearful that the documents might be used against American media, Pecker and the company's chief content officer, Dylan Howard, removed them from the safe in the weeks before Trump's inauguration, according to one person directly familiar with the events. The AP was not able to determine what happened to those documents, but we're wondering, what else does David Pecker know? Joining me, former senior vice president of American Media Inc., Stu Zakin. That's not him. That's Daily Beast White House reporter, also in Subsang. That is Stu right there. Gentlemen, welcome. So the AP report is suggesting that there's this big vault, and all of the information, the catch and kills, and negative stories about Trump and others, but Trump went into this vault so that David Pecker could use it to his advantage. He could bend celebrities to help him with stories. What exactly did David Pecker want out of Donald Trump?
Well, first he wanted the access of being friends with Trump is. Pecker likes to surround himself and always has with powerful players. It puts him in that role, and that's where he sees himself. So when they first became friends in the 80s, they were both powerful players in their own world. Trump still in real estate. Pecker was running Hachette Media, which was a major publisher at the time. He got things that he wouldn't get, such as brush with fame. David likes to have that brush with fame. And as Trump's reputation grew through The Apprentice and all that, and he became a celebrity, They really bonded. For very similar reasons to make one.
And the National Enquirer released story after story about Hillary Clinton, negative story after story about Hillary Clinton. She failed a secret FBI lie detector.
Now there's your false news. There's your fake news. Put all them lies out there about that a woman that hadn't did nothing but serve this country all her life. And then you get a known liar and philanderer, a con man, a known con man, and you put him above someone who you knew had been, she was a first lady. You didn't hear all of that, no controversy swirling around her when she was first lady. Now, did you? She was a senator. You didn't hear no controversy swirling around her when she was a senator. And there wasn't no controversies swirling around her when she was Secretary of State. But them lying crooks up there in the Congress, what that Gowdy, Congressman, what's his first name? Trey Gowdy. That lying dog. He got up there and tried to make her responsible for what happened over there in Benghazi. As if he didn't know that the only reason that there was a limited amount of protection around that was the Ambassador Stevens was because Congress had defunded, had drawn back the money to give that. Now now you want to hold the Secretary of State responsible for whatever happens over in these places, like Ambassador Stevens was a child or something and Miss Clinton was his babysitter. No. He was over there, he knew the risk, and he's the one that took the risk to do what he was doing and to go where he went, where there was limited protection. He did that. And Trey Gowdy knew that. But all of them, they've been working to undermine this government. That's why that when Sarah Palin got out there, Sarah Palin wasn't sharp enough to be using terms like Putin playing chess and Obama playing checkers. Where did she get that from? She got that from those that was doing it, from those who messed around there, and she's sitting there overhearing it and just coming out boasting of it. When in actuality, that's exactly what was going on. These people, if they've been meddling in the American elections and the electoral process of America, if they've been meddling in it, well, how long have they been meddling in it? Remember when Grover Norquist came out and said that if they signed the pledge, they get to govern, and I help make that happen. How does he help make it happen? With the help of who? Fake news. Most of these people that are sitting up in Congress now, especially in the Republican, calling themselves Republicans. Notice I said calling themselves Republicans. Most of the people don't know where them people came from. All they knew is they just got on the ticket to be voted for. Look at that old sorry Paul Ryan. That man would have been vice president if Mitt Romney had won. Could you imagine that little weasel being there a heartbeat away from the presidency? Now look what you got in the president's office. A man calling the people who help his Justice Department investigate traitors. He called them rats. Okay. Let's look at this a little more.
Gained 103 pounds. It just goes on and on. She's corrupt, racist, criminal. They did Donald Trump's dirty work for him, it seems.
And now everything he was accusing Miss Clinton of, including the poundage, who is it now? All he was doing was projecting his own guilt onto her. Huh? All right.
Well, they did. So one of the beauty, when you own a media company, you own it for a couple of reasons: to make money, which Pecker is really good at, to have influence over public opinion, what people think. And looking at that wall of covers, when you look at the newsstand, imagine if you're at an airport or a train station, and AMI owns a vast properties, all in the celebrity category. So you walk by.
No, you don't just own a news company to make money. It used to be the news companies. They were part of the watchdogs that they were called the watchdogs and holding politicians to account. That's part of the citizens of America. That's as it says, freedom ain't free. You got to watch those who's supposed to be watching. That's why the press is allowed to have a press corps that's not by the whim of the president that the press is there. The press have a right to be there. The White House is the people's house, and the press got a right to come in there and find out what you're doing in there. Is that right? Come out, they just there to make money. No. No, don't look. You better stop looking up to people who look down on you. How can you tell when somebody looks down on you? Just listen to them talking. Stop always every time somebody say something that's insulting to you. Stop reacting. Especially when they somebody who's in authority and think they talking over your head. No, don't react. And just let them keep talking. See how far they'll go. Because now you have them at a disadvantage. Because they think that you don't understand that you're being insulted. They think that you don't understand what they are doing and what they are saying. So let them keep talking. Then you'll see just how deep-rooted their hatred of you and their disdain for you is. Do you understand? No, you got to learn to control yourself. If you want to have control, for instance, how can you control your car if you can't first control your hands and your arms? You got to have control of yourself before you can take control of something else. You know, the deeper you think, the more like the ocean you can be. Can be raging on top and deep down there just as calm. Do you understand?
You're going to see those images going out.
Republicans would release that very strongly worded statement before he went to the White House to meet with the president to talk about criminal sentencing reform. And yet, Eli, it seems like there was no tension there, but still this morning, the president woke up and was tweeting about him all over again.
Yeah, it's remarkable, and it just speaks volumes about this administration that that's the way the president and the attorney general communicate, attacking each other or trolling each other on Twitter, but they can't work this out behind closed doors, face to face. Putting that aside, obviously the president, we know his frustration with Sessions. We know his view of the Justice Department. He believes that the Justice Department should work for him, and that's the top consideration. Loyalty is paramount. Jeff Sessions has not operated that way to Trump's it's upset Trump, obviously. And so that's sort of where we are here at this point. And, the president.
How can a man who is not loyal to the country himself respect someone who is loyal to the Constitution? He cannot. He wants people around him that's lie like him. And you can't on the one hand hold your hand up and take an oath to uphold the Constitution with your right hand and have your left hand, your fingers crossed or your toes crossed, and expect if you lied about your oath, you don't want nobody in there that told the truth about theirs, do you? Everybody got to be a liar in order for the boat that you captaining to sail somewhat smoothly. Everybody got to be on the same page with their lie. You heard the old saying, we used to talk to people, one saying this and one saying that, and both of them done came out the same room, and you talk to them and they telling you something different. You say, look, will y'all get your lies straight? Is that right? So, but there ain't no way to straighten out something that's crooked. You can't get a lie straight. That's what people don't realize. A lie has nothing to stabilize it in your mind. Anyway.
I wish there was a lot of speculation. People on the Hill yesterday talking about Lindsey Graham basically saying out loud that he expects Trump to get rid of Sessions possibly after the election. A remarkable thing to just say out loud, but also not that shocking given what we see every day on Twitter.
That's why Lindsey Graham is saying that, because he's flip-flopped on that.
You know why these people in the Congress and whatnot think that they can do all of this stuff? It's because they think the election and the voting things are already rigged for them to get back in there. It's not because they think the American people are going to vote for them. No. They think that's why I told you, you should, those voting machines, the only thing you should use them machines for is to print out your voting ballot. And then you look at it. If it's what you voted for, then cast that paper ballot yourself. That's how you put until you figure out a way to make sure that your voting machines are not rigged and ain't nobody pulling no monkey business. Just have them print out a paper ballot, and then you cast a paper ballot. Then you know that what you voted for will be counted like it was before. It wasn't broke in the first place. I don't even see why you changed it. I don't recall them asking the American people to vote on whether they wanted a machine or whether they wanted paper ballots. And I don't recall ever voting for that to happen. So how did it happen? I'll tell you how it happened. Here it is right here. Now I want you to check this out. I'm gonna let you go in a minute, but I want you to see this.
Bring like-minded legislators together, but the private sector engagement and partnership in ALEC is really what I think makes it the organization that it is.
You might have heard the name ALEC in the news lately.
The American Legislative Exchange Council, or ALEC for short.
The American Legislative Exchange Council, or ALEC.
ALEC is a nationwide consortium of elected state legislators working side by side with some of America's most powerful corporations. They have an agenda you should know about, a mission to remake America, changing the country by changing its laws, one state at a time. ALEC creates what it calls model legislation, pro-corporate laws like this one that its members push in state houses across the country. ALEC says close to 1,000 bills, based at least in part on its models, are introduced every year, and an average of 200 pass.
Now you see, you already got a government. Now I'll probably play this for you Sunday, but you already got people that's sitting up in Congress. They ain't coming up with things for the people. They being given stuff to, given bills by their handlers. You need to get all them crooks out of there. Now that you know who they are, I mean, the crooks is everybody that's done deserted their posts and then decided that Congress should be a branch, not let me see, what's the three branch? The judicial, the legislative. They should not be the legislative branch. They should be part of the executive branch. And that's what they are now. Is that right? You see, so it's time for you to wake up and throw all them crooks out of there. You sitting up there telling a crocodile he need to drain the swamp. Crocodile live in the swamp. What do you want to drain the swamp for? If you stupid enough to believe that, you believe that when you see water running out of his eyes, he crying. Well, okay. You know, Donald Trump read to you what he was about when he first started. And it's called the snake. And, you know, you thought racism was dead, but it was just froze. You thought it out. When you put him in there, you put him in the fireside, what did Roosevelt call it when he was going to talk to the people, a fireside chat? Laid him next to the fireplace, and he thawed out, and now he biting you. And you think that he doing you wrong, but you knew he was a snake when you put him in there. No? And he read it to you, I don't know how many times. Yeah. But anyway, it's strange. Nobody want to ask me no question. Brother Michael? Nobody had nothing to say? Oh. All right. Well, if it pleases Allah, we'll take this up some more with you Sunday. And until then, may Allah bless us all and keep us safe and in our right minds. And no, I haven't forgot about Senator McCain and his family. And our hearts go out to them. And we just lost a brother to cancer. And, you know, that's one thing both of them had in common, is that that's one thing you have to say about Brother Yaquim. He was his own man. He didn't, it's kind of like Mr. McCain, Senator McCain. I remember that time when I know a lot of people got mad at him when he wouldn't go down the road of accusing President Obama of being something other than an American citizen, and he just wouldn't do that. And you know, matter of fact, the first time that they ran, I voted for John McCain. I didn't know who the rest of y'all voted for. Did I? Did I tell y'all that? Yeah, I know I told y'all I was gonna vote for Obama, didn't I? And I voted for John McCain. You know, you don't get my vote just because you black. You get my vote if I agree with what you stand for. And if I don't know what you stand for, I'll go with the one that I know rather than the one I don't know. Huh? And that's just me. So, you know, but I've learned to, you know, give people the same courtesy that I want. So I'll tell you who I'm gonna support, but I don't tell you you got to support them. You support what you think is right. Sometimes you know people better than I do. so you know, and I'll ask you who we support. Who do you think we ought to support? And then I'll go with you because I don't know a lot of the people that you know, especially in local elections. So a lot of times people will come to me and ask me for my support. And I tell them, well, if brother so-and-so or sister so-and-so, and they speak highly of you, I don't know you. So if they give you go ahead, you got my vote. Well, that's the way that goes. So I'm not the person who thinks that I can lead when I don't know. If I don't know, I ask somebody who know. Yeah. So, but anyway, may Allah bless us and keep us safe and in our right minds. May Allah's salam alaikum.
Your conference participation is no longer being recorded. Goodbye.